What is up, everyone? So today we have a very special Enzo gameplay where I'm actually going to be using a off-meta attack speed crit build instead of the standard Soul Reaver attack damage build that Enzo typically uses. This was inspired by Shurko. If you don't know who he is, check him out because his YouTube channel is seriously awesome for any AoV players, casual or professional. He has some great videos, great tutorials, just overall a great channel to check out. So credit to him for inspiring this idea. I watched his video on Crit Enzo, and it kind of got me thinking as to why Shurko wanted to try the build out. And after a little bit of consideration, Enzo is a melee hero that has a very long attack range because of the fact that he swings his hooks, so he has extra attack range that a normal melee hero wouldn't have. Because of this, he actually can hit multiple enemies from a distance, and it is very useful. And when we consider this, the attack speed critical build really does start making sense. Even though you're going to be dealing less damage, when you start doing those crits in succession, when you get your lifesteal, it becomes extremely strong. And here we try to throw the Rory over, but it doesn't work, so we're just going to back out. We don't want to get poked out too badly. So here I'm just going to explain the build because nothing really happens for the first little while in the match. So first you want to queue up your level 2 jungle item, which is going to be the attack speed critical jungle item, the one that marksmen typically use, right? And then after you get the tier 2, you want to get your attack speed boots queued up. I get attack speed boots because I think the attack speed makes him just a lot smoother to use in general. And I think with Enzo, he's just one of those heroes that really needs the attack speed boost from the boots because he feels really clunky if you don't have it. And with Enzo, you really don't want to have him feel clunky because he's really hard to play micro-wise. And you just want him to operate as smoothly as possible, and seeing as this build is already so attack speed and critical damage orientated, the boots just make that much more sense. After you get your boots, you want to queue up your level 3 jungle item, Scorching Wind. After you get that, you want to rush Clave Sanctity to get your damage spike from the critical attacks, and then you want to get either Omni Arms or Muramasa. Omni Arms if they have a team comp, if the enemies have a team comp that's more squishy, and then Muramasa if they are more tanky. For example, if they have a Zephyrs in the jungle, maybe an Arthur in the Darkslayer lane, then you can consider using Muramasa instead of Omni Arms. This game, they didn't really have many tanky characters. They had 2 ADC, so I chose Omni Arms to do that much more damage, to shred the squishies. Anyways, so once we have your Omni Arms built, you want to build the Beast, and yes, I know it's kind of an off-meta item that not many people build, but I think it works very well and synergizes with this build just because you attack so quickly, right? And when you attack so quickly, it really serves you well to have that lifesteal. Here we hook the Rory, throw her over the wall, amazing, and then we dash into her doing her damage and finish her off with our auto attacks. Then we recall to our team's Rory's ultimate, and then we kind of dash in there wanting to finish the pain, but the Superman gets it, which is very nice. That was a very good trade. We killed 2 enemies and didn't have anyone die on our team, which is very worth. So good team fight. Back to what I was saying, the Beast is really strong and synergizes extremely well with this build because you're attacking so quickly and you're going to be basically kiting the enemies, right? And if you're kiting the enemies, you are going to want lifesteal in order to basically stay alive in the fights. If you can lifesteal and kite and they can't do anything about it, once you start snowballing and once you start kiting, it's extremely, I would say, toxic in a way. They just can't reach you fast enough, especially with all the melee junglers right now. I think it's a really strong counter, especially with the fact that Enzo has so much CC. You can throw the opponent back into your team and have your team finish them off, and you'll get your passive up too. I honestly think Enzo is really underrated now, and not a lot of people play him after he was nerfed, and I still think he is super strong if you play him correct. He is extremely hard to play, of course, but it's worth it in the end. Now let's just talk a little bit about Enzo's function and how he is special, I think. Enzo is one of those junglers that has a great kit for invading, because you can throw the buff, you can hook it, auto attack it a few times, and just throw the buff away out of the enemy's jungle and then just take it, right? And I think that's extremely strong. So here we go a little bit too deep and we have to burn our Arctic Orb in order to not die. And then we managed to kill the Pain with an auto attack before using the Arctic Orb. So we're just gonna use our restore here and wait a little bit to see if we have anyone. We hook the Joker, but he's a little too far out of range, and we're just not going to follow it into the tower. That's too risky, and we would die. Here, we wanted to attack the Rory, but it didn't quite work as her knock-up kind of dusted us away. Here, the Tulin is coming to defend. We quickly recall back to the base just because we are dropping low, and there's not much we can do. Anyway, so we just continue on our jungle clear here, but not before clearing the mid wave first. With Enzo, a little tip I have is to always have his hook ready, because you can charge it and it's better to have it ready in case there's any enemies that you can hook. It's just much better. You'll have an easier time to get it ready if you just have it constantly charging, right? Because if you're entering a team fight and you're still charging that hook, it might be a little bit too late. Here, we charge the hook and then we want to throw it at the Tulin, but he just narrowly dodges it. So we're just going to auto attack and we just instantly finish off the Rory and the Tulin, getting a slick double kill. So this is why I think the attack speed critical damage build works so well on Enzo. It makes him super smooth and you can just attack super fast. But also, because of the fact that he is still classified as a melee hero despite his range, you can easily attack multiple enemies at once. Here we hook the Valheim, we dash after him, use our ultimate, get in front of him, throw him over our shoulders, then use our ultimate again and auto attack him once to finish him off, and we get our passive to quickly clear the lane. Very nice kill, very clean. So we're just going to auto attack the tower once and kill it. So here, back to what I was saying. Since Enzo is classified as melee, you can hit multiple enemies at once. Once he starts doing those high damage crits and once he gets the beast, the amount of lifesteal you'll have is insane. Here you see we just literally kite the Rory, auto attack her 3 times and she's already dead from 1/3 health. It's really crazy how much damage you can do with this build even if you don't have Soul Reaver, right? So I personally prefer this build to the standard one using Soul Reaver, just solely on the fact that I feel like it's so much smoother and you can attack so much faster and he just feels that much better to use. Here our support gets killed, so I'm just going to return to my jungle clear and get my double buff up. So here we get our double buff, we have our Sage and red, we got our blue and red golem ready. So now we're just going to clear our entire blue side jungle and join the team fight. So here we're just going to rotate upwards, not much to do. We're just going to start entering the fight, and then you see we're already charging our hook, and then we decide not to go for the Valheim just because he's retreating under tower. If I hooked him there, he probably would have been dead, but it was a little too risky, and I just didn't want to take it. Here we have a really nice 2v1 play coming up. I am going to charge my hook. I hook onto the Rory, I dash into her using my ultimate. I throw her over my shoulder, dash through her again, auto attack the Tulin, and then she's dead, and the Rory escapes, and the Superman catches her out. I was dropping a little bit low. I was afraid if there was a gank coming, potential gank, but there wasn't any. But that's okay since the Rory still died to the Superman. Not very important. Here we see the Valheim, and we're just going to chase after him. We hook him, and then we auto attack him once, and he's dead. You see how much damage we do even without Soul Reaver. I honestly think Scorching Wind is a really good option for Enzo, and I really enjoy it just because of how fast it is. Of course, Soul Reaver is also great, but for my personal style, I just like how smooth, I just love how smooth Scorching Wind makes him feel, and I honestly think it's a great option, a great off-meta option to make him a melee ADC, basically. It's really cool. Enzo's honestly one of those heroes that just can do so much. He can be, he can be this almost support-like jungler where he has so much CC, even as an assassin. You want to be careful, of course, since if he gets caught out, he'll die because he's really squishy. But he just has so much utility to him. He is just really underrated. Here we jump in, we dash forwards, we kill the tool and get our passive up, and then we wanted to use our hook, we miss it, we dash after the Joker, auto attack him twice and he's dead. We see the crits popping off already. Here we dash into the Tulin, auto attack him, and then he just narrowly escapes with a little bit of his health, but we auto attack the Rory and she's dead. Here, unfortunately, we just die to the Valheim, but you know, it honestly doesn't matter since it was very worth. We killed 4 opponents, while I killed 3 and my teammate finished the Valheim, but it was 4 for 1, so it was very worth. And here we're just gonna wait for us to respawn. So while I'm here, I'm just going to talk a little bit about how Enzo is currently, you know, how he's meant to be played, right? So as I have already mentioned, Enzo is this jungler who is very focused on power farming in the early game and just constantly invading the enemies, because there's really nothing they can do if you just hit their hook. If you just hit the hook onto their buff and throw it over your shoulder, what are they going to do? The best case scenario for them is you don't get the buff and they have to wait for it to reset. The worst case scenario for them, and the best one for you, is you get the buff. And he does so much damage mid to late game. If you just play him correctly, there's really nothing they can do about it, right? And that's why I think Enzo is still so strong, even with the really broken new heroes like Laville, like Pain, like Rui now. You know, I honestly think Enzo still has a spot in the meta if you play him correctly. Here we just hook onto him, dash in with our S1, then dash after him with our ultimate. Here we're just going to retreat, even though we hit the hook onto the Valheim. We didn't want to go that deep, we would have died. Anyways, that was nice, clean kill, you know, under tower. It just goes to show how much damage you can do even with this attack speed critical build that makes him operate much smoother. Here we wanted to finish, but we don't have a minion wave, and we're just going to back off because we know if we get caught right now, we would die, even with our lifesteal. So we're just going to use our increased movement speed using our hook and then just run away, and we're just going to focus on healing a little bit off of the camps. You see how much we're healing? Just a few auto attacks and I'm literally back to full health already. This is why I think this build is so strong. I honestly think with this much sustain and that much attack speed, you can easily shred through a squishy like they're nothing. It just makes them so smooth, so functional. Here we're a little greedy. We dash into the Valheim, we get stunned, and then we get jumped on by 3 enemies and we die before we can really do anything. It was greedy on our part, and you know, don't do that. Always check the bush with your hook. Bad on us. We paid for it, we died, but that's okay. We're still doing extremely well and carrying this game very hard. We have 12 kills and only 2 deaths. So far so good. Here our team makes a bit of a mistake by engaging the enemy team while our support and ADC are not there. So they get shredded down really quickly, which is very unfortunate. I ping for retreat and you know, it was a little too late. They're dead. The Violet is up, the Ruri is up, so we're not in too much danger of the enemy team finishing right now, but it's just one of those things where we really don't want to give them any lead to potentially attack and, you know, and potentially get a comeback. Here we see the Pain jump in, we just dodge his ultimate, and then we just auto attack him 3 times and he's dead. Enzo's auto attacks are so strong. Here we hook onto the Joker, we dash in using our S1, then our ultimate, then we just auto attack him twice, killing him, then we auto attack the Rui twice and we kill her. Here the Valheim uses a stun and kills me, and unfortunately we were not able to kill him, but we really chunk him down hard, and our teammates, our allies, managed to finish off the Tulin, and the Valheim has no choice but retreat. Now with 4 people down and being in the late game already, their respawn times are in the 30 to 40 seconds, and there's nothing they can do now at this point, and we're just gonna finish the game. I pre-order Hercules Madness because I think it's really strong on him. Death Sickle would also be good. Here we can see them just finishing the game, and this was really nice.